All right. Forgot my marker, so I had to sprint across the room with great run form to go get it. Hey everyone, Steve Gonzer, physical therapist here. I want to talk to you guys about what happens later in this race. So if you're training for a half, full marathon, or even a 5K, take a look at this chart I'm going to draw, and it will help you finish your races stronger. Now, people always complain about hitting the wall, and there's a couple of reasons they do that, but I think if you use this strategy, you'll be able to hit your goal times. Let's face it, you're training for weeks and months, maybe even years for a specific race. It'd be nice if you had all your ducks in a row so that you could hit the time that you want, have a good time. Even if it's just a finish, you can finish strong and not just fade off into oblivion. Now, this is part of the program that we have coming up called Need for Speed. If you go to openmystride.com, in fact, if someone could just type it in there, I always forget to do it, openmystride.com, type that in the comments for me. We have a program that's coming up that starts actually next week, depending on when you watch this. It's starting on August 4th, but it's a program that's gonna teach you how to do this, because I'm gonna talk about run form here in a minute. Now, typically this is what we see, right? So let's just talk about pacing over time, not even distance, because this works for 5K, half marathon, full marathon, ultra marathon. What ends up happening is pace is really low to start. Let's just call this an let's call it a 7:30 minute mile. Someone starts off at that, and what you tend to see over time is something that looks like this, and in fact maybe you get towards the finish line and you start sprinting to the finish line. But in general, most runners get slower throughout their race. You don't see a lot of people negative splitting or even splitting their races. Now, I figured out that if you are focused on a couple specific things, you can actually take this line. Let's use green. I don't even know if green works. Probably should have checked this before I went online. It doesn't work well enough. So we're gonna let's just do this. You can actually see something that looks more like this. And this difference can make a huge difference between you chasing down people or being the one chased down as people fly by you on race day. So there's gonna be an inflection point in any race. And if you can identify this inflection point, what's gonna happen is you'll be able to trigger your memory or your mind to do things with your run form so that you can maintain your paces. What most people do when they get tired is they scuff and they shuffle. They make deals with themselves to walk at aid stations that they didn't plan on walking, or walking between aid stations. They go to a dark place and they just don't want to be out there anymore. They think, what the hell am I doing? Why did I sign up for this? I'm never doing this again. I've been there. Is anyone else? I think there's probably people in there who've been at that point. But if you can identify this inflection point and you start to do what we call a knee drive, and it's what we teach in Need for Speed, you can take this line and slow down less, even split the race, or even, depending on how you pace it on the front end, negative split your race and get faster as it goes on. Now, nothing makes up for just poor training and racing, right? If you go out and you're running 7:30s, but you should have been running 8:30s at the start, this doesn't make a difference. But for the smart runners, the runners who go out and pace themselves properly, when you identify this inflection point, it makes a huge difference. So what's the inflection point? This is a point mentally that most runners go through, and they're running along, right? I'm running through my race. This is me running. It looked great. And you start to think, this kind of feels a little bit harder than it should. I feel this feels more difficult than it should. I'm starting to struggle a little bit. You start to maybe see your pace drift a little bit. So let's say you're running 7:30s, and all of a sudden it's like 7:35, and you're like, oh, this is the typical face. Oh. And hopefully Facebook doesn't freeze frame that and use it as the image, because I can't change those, and sometimes it's embarrassing. But that sensation of, oh man, this feels a little bit harder, that's your inflection point. It's where you're not so far off the deep end that you can just crash and burn, but you're starting to notice the struggle. You're starting to feel uncomfortable. At this inflection point, if you can start to drive your knee, what we call the figure 4 drill. I talked about it in many videos on our Facebook page. If you go to the videos section, you can see a lot more on this. But when you get to that and you start to think, okay, instead of going to that dark spot of I don't want to be here anymore, I want to stop running, you go to this point of, okay, time to clean up the run form, time to start to drive the knee and find my figure 4. You focus on that in your run form, and what happens is you break away from the shuffling. You break away from run form that just claws your way to the finish line, but it does it slower. And it can actually help you push through the wall by identifying the inflection point and starting to drive the knee. Now, if you want some help with this, and we go into this in a lot more detail, and also teach you how to drive your knee and how to do it properly so you're not launching all over the place, wasting energy, or just guessing, go to openmystride.com. We are increasing the price, depending on when you watch this, in a couple days, and the program closes in 1 week on August 4th, And depending on when you watch this, that could be tomorrow. I don't know. So openmystride.com will help you with this. I'll teach you how to do it. It's a 4-week training program. I'm going to kind of give you all the exercises, the drills, the training that you need to make this happen in your next run or race. It's a great way to avoid hitting the wall and speed up and hit your goal times at your next race. So hopefully that helps. Hope everyone has a great day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.